Welcome back to the All Talk podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Camilleri. Today, I'm excited to chat with Jeff Mockaitis, an alumnus from our Alpha-Iota Chapter at Missouri S&T, and a key figure in their capital campaign for our new chapter house. Jeff and many other dedicated volunteers led the way for that campaign, and we'll be discussing how important that engagement is today. Glad to have you on the podcast, Jeff.
Thanks for having me, Jacob.
Absolutely. So, you've been a key figure with Alpha-Iota Chapter and, especially in this housing campaign. So, how was the Alpha-Iota Chapter house been working out for you guys?
It's been going really well. We just finished our 4th year since we opened the chapter. The house is full, and the guys, the undergraduates, are doing really well. Scholarship is up, alumni engagement is up. Most everything is pointing north in the last 4 years since we opened the new house. We're much more competitive against both the dormitories and the other fraternities on campus, and we're one of the best chapters, we believe, on the S&T campus.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree with that, and it's been really awesome to see the progress that you guys been able to have, and have not been able to go to your guys' chapter house yet, but just seeing the pictures and the groundwork was really phenomenal, honestly.
Thank you so much. I had a conversation with past Grand Sage Joe Palazzolo shortly after he visited the chapter, and he was obviously very complimentary of the house. That was fantastic. But my takeaway from that was really not that it was a great house. Well, these are his words. Not that it was a great house, but that you've got a great brotherhood down there, and that you need to, or they need to, focus on that, not just selling the fraternity as a brand new house, but the brotherhood and the social aspects of it. And I think he's absolutely right.
Yeah, I mean, I could not agree more. Of course, having a physical structure is always nice, but if you guys don't have that genuine connection between each other, you're not gonna, really foster the relationships that you guys are looking for. So, really glad to see that Alpha Iota is really thriving and brotherhood as well. But Jeff, what does it mean to you to be a part of such a monumental project like the development of the Alpha Iota Chapter House?
It's really humbling. It became a true labor of love when we were doing the capital campaign. Started off with a small group of 4 or 5 guys, and in the early days, I wasn't even involved. But once we got past the feasibility stage and moved towards the actual fundraising, the capital campaign grew month over month, just in terms of volunteers and members. I think we had 14 or 15 guys in the very first kickoff meeting to start the fundraising in a quiet phase where we're just talking one-on-one with alumni. By the time it was all done and we were wrapping up the campaign, we had more than 30 guys coming onto a monthly call to make sure that we had hit all of the notes that we wanted to, that we had been talking to every one of our alumni across the entire generation, from a 1960 grad all the way to brothers that had only been out of the house for, in some cases, 6 months. So it was very meaningful. The other thing that came out of it, and it really sprung forward when we had our opening weekend ceremony, was that we realized we had this brand new bond of brotherhood amongst the alumni. And we'd met a lot of people, gotten to know everybody, and we didn't want to squander that. We wanted to build off of that. Rolla, Missouri is about an hour and a half from any major city: St. Louis, Kansas City, Jefferson City, Columbia. We wanted to try to build on that. And so my initial role in the building association after that was to kind of be the alumni director, which was a self-created position to just engage alumni, get people coming down for homecoming, getting together for regional events in Kansas City and St. Louis, And those events continue to this day. We just had a event in St. Louis to celebrate our 90th anniversary of chartering on April 29th of 2023, and I think we had close to 35 brothers at that event, again, spanning from the 1960s to a couple of undergraduates that were there as well, and just pulling more people in all the time, people that weren't involved with the capital campaign that are now coming back to the chapter. It's exactly what we wanted to do, and we couldn't be happier about it.
Well, Jeff, that's honestly awesome to hear that you guys are continuing to put on different events for. Is that specifically only for Alpha Iota alumni, or is it open to alumni in the area to attend some of these events?
Up to this point, we've really targeted mostly towards Alpha Iota. We need to, I think, better engage with the national fraternity. I think we've done that in the last couple of years, but it's always a balancing act. Again, Rala being somewhat isolated, we tend to look at Alpha Iota first, and we need to be a little bit more inclusive to the other chapters.
For sure. Well, either way, that's definitely a great blueprint for any chapter listening, any alumni listening out there. Encourage you guys to continue having different alumni events that you guys can have alumni come out to and continue to foster relationships. Well after college. I think that is tremendously important. So awesome to hear that you guys have continued that.
The the other event that we've been doing for many, many years is a Cardinals away trip. With Rolla being near St. Louis, that's where a lot of our alumni are either from or where they've moved to after graduation. And so obviously a lot of Cardinals fans in the group. And 23 years ago, a small group, John Flake, Jeff Mockaitis, and a couple other guys started just going to a Minnesota Twins Cardinals game. And the next year it grew. They had a couple more people, and we've got our 23rd installment of that coming up in about 6 weeks. I think we've got close to 31 brothers that are going to be coming into Chicago for a Cardinals White Sox game, and everybody I talk to, it's one of those events they're planning their entire year around. They, making sure that they're available, not going on family vacation because they want to be a part of that event, and it should be a really good time. Really looking forward to catching up with everybody for more than just a couple of hours, spending an entire weekend, bar hopping, enjoying some nice meals, and hopefully, hopefully for them, a Cardinals win. For me, it wouldn't bother me if both teams lost 0-0.
Well, that's awesome to hear, Jeff. I really hope you guys have a great time there in Chicago here in a few weeks. Kind of getting back a little bit to the capital campaign that you guys had. That campaign resulted in over 180 brothers pledging $1.9 million towards the new build. To have that many brothers contribute, you have to have a strong support, right? So how do you think that was all accomplished?
We had a lot of things align at the right time. We had a former Founders Award winner in Wayne Laufer who committed a sizable amount of money towards the campaign. We had another brother, just recent Founders Award winner, Jeff Mockaitis, had sold his company, and so he had time and money on his side. So he was able to lead the capital campaign, and he ran it like a business, and it was every bit as successful as the businesses that he's run in the past. And every month we would come together. We would have a very specific agenda for that meeting. What are our action items? Who are we targeting this month? What are our goals? Hitting these different benchmarks in terms of time to collect money in a certain period of time, to get the pledges of money signed, and the deposits made, because we had to have a certain amount of money both pledged and collected before we could break ground on the house. Because of the capital campaign's work, because of Jeff Mockaitis' work specifically, we were able to beat our original goal by an entire year and by $600,000. Allowed us to buy a little bit of additional property so that we could have some future expansion. Allowed us to do a little bit more in terms of the design and the outfitting of the house. So enough cannot be said about the former building association members, Kurt Steinman, Jeff Osterman, and Jason Dorman. The three of them, in conjunction with Jeff Totleben and the generosity of Wayne Lawfer, really all came together at the right time to help push that project forward. And so I really look at my role as the president of the building association now as being the steward of the good work that they've done and try to maintain and grow upon that. Um, it's been good too in the last 4 years since we built that house. We've had the opportunity to meet with a number of other building associations across the country, talk to them about this process that we went through. I think ours is a little bit unique because of the situation at Rolla. We're allowed to have freshmen move into the fraternity on day one. The campus is very supportive of the Greek community. And so it really was a situation where all the stars aligned to allow us to build this house better and faster than we ever could have imagined in the early days.
So, kind of on that note, Jeff, why do you think it's important to have dedicated volunteers for each chapter?
The fraternity is very much like a college football team or a college basketball team. Every 4 years, it's a different house, different members, and 4 years. When you're an undergraduate, 4 years seems like a lifetime, and when you're an adult, 4 years goes by in a blink of an eye. And so the alumni volunteers create that through line of support, of mentoring, linking everybody back to tradition. And one of the things that we discovered through this process is doesn't matter if you graduated in 1964, 1984, or 2014, we're all bonded by these same characteristics as laid out in the creed, and those ideals are true amongst all of us. So there's an instant bond amongst all Sigma Pi's because we all have bought in and share those beliefs and ideals. What the alumni volunteers bring is that experience, that wisdom of having gone through not just the fraternity experience, but life experience, families, jobs, setbacks, and can provide or can share that experience with the undergraduates to make sure that they're not recreating mistakes that have been made in the past, that they're building off of the past and not reliving old problems. So having that alumni support, I think, is vital. And our building association, when I was an undergraduate, they were involved for 25 years, and everybody in that 25 years knows who they are and cherishes the mentoring and the leadership they gave. And so now we've got a group of people that are mostly in their mid 40s, maybe some younger than that are trying to do the same thing and really try to grow and take Alpha-Iota Chapter into the next 90 years.
Absolutely, Jeff. Totally agree. And for anyone listening out there who's looking to get involved, I highly encourage you guys to reach out to your chapter and look to volunteer. Because everything that Jeff said right there is 100% true. Everything that you're gonna give to this organization, you're gonna get back tenfold. And all chapters need help, and all chapters need volunteers who are gonna step up. So, Jeff, we thank you so much for stepping on today and being on the Owl Talk podcast. That'll wrap up today's discussion. So thank you again for joining us for this episode of the Owl Talk podcast. For everyone listening, please hit subscribe and please leave a rating and review on your favorite podcast platform. And as always, I believe.